to choose the genre you're going to write in and coming up with ideas for your book is, I think, one of the main things that actually stop people from actually writing their first book. I know that it's something that for years and years kind of haunted me. And I think a lot of people who come to write books are naturally very creative people. So we tend to have like a jumble of unformed ideas. We're multi-passionate. We like lots of different genres. I know that I read in lots of different genres. So I think it's difficult sometimes for us to actually sort of decide, yeah, what genre we're actually going to write in. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing my process that I use to choose the genre that I'm going to start writing in, and also how I came up with the exact idea for my book and how I knew that that idea actually had legs and I could write a whole book based on a simple idea, fairly simple idea. So the advice that's out there is write what you know. And by that, what they mean is write in the genre that you read the most. So for those of us who read a lot of different genres, this can be quite difficult. I tend to read a lot of psychological thrillers, mysteries, and a lot of fantasy and like romantasy as well. So those were kind of the genres that I started playing with. And I must admit that the idea of writing a fantasy book is very exciting. It still excites me now. And there are definitely some fantasy books in my future. I will definitely be writing in the fantasy genre at some point. But as my debut book, I felt like a book that I could actually write and finish, a psychological thriller slash mystery felt more doable because the plots of fantasy books are obviously massive and it just felt like too much of an undertaking. So that was my first step was the first step that I took was looking at the genres that I actually read and love. The next step that I took though was going a little bit deeper and thinking about my life and my experiences and the things in life that I'm really passionate about, the themes I'm really passionate about. So I've just turned 50. I've been through obviously a lot, menopause, childhood traumas, infertility, miscarriage, the loss of my mum. I've built my business. I've had been married. I've been with my husband for 20 years. I've been on a huge personal growth journey. And through it all, I've become really, really passionate about women claiming their place, living a fulfilling life, taking up space, being seen, and getting to know themselves better, being fully themselves, trusting themselves, having greater self-worth and self-confidence. So I kind of thought I would really, really love to be able to have some of those themes running through my book. So that was sort of the next thing I was thinking about. And then I thought about books that I have read in that genre that have really stayed with me for a long time after reading, because that's the kind of book I want to write. I want to write the kind of book that it haunts you. And years and years and years later, you're like, you can still close your eyes and almost be back in the world of the book. That's the kind of books that I want to write. So when I was thinking about the psychological thrillers that I've read, and I've read almost every single like Frida McFadden, K.L. Slater, Mark Edwards, Valerie Keough, like I have read all of their books and I have loved reading all of their books. But the thing is, when I was thinking about their books, I actually couldn't specifically remember any of them. Like I couldn't tell you what any of them were really about. There wasn't really one that stood out for me more than the others. And I think the reason why is because they follow a very sort of set pattern and they sort of they read fairly similar. So when you're reading them, they're different, but nothing really stands out. So when I was thinking about books that I'd read that really stood out for me, the Seven Sisters series by Lucinda Riley really stood out for me. And to be honest, anything by Kate Morton, but specifically The Secret Keeper by Kate Morton, I still think about those books. Those books really stood out for me. So I was wondering why those books stood out for me more than all of the psychological thriller books and mystery books that I've read. And the reason I've realized is because those books are kind of historical mystery. They use a dual timeline. They deal with secrets that are buried in the past, ghosts that come back, not real ghosts, but like ghosts of the past that come back. And then have modern day, all set in modern day characters that are kind of uncovering crimes and truths or family traumas that ripple into the present. And I think it was that combination of like historical mystery, like real things that happened, whether it be political or crimes or family history or something that really happened in the past, bringing it through into the present with that sort of psychological tension, and then fizzing everything with this feminist edge, this feminist bite to it. I was starting to get really excited. So I was like, okay, right, now I feel like I'm onto something. Now I feel like I'm getting closer to a genre that I can be passionate about and get behind and feel like I can actually write a whole book and feel really excited by it. So that's essentially how I chose my genre, one that I'm really passionate about and that really excites me. And also the sort of historical mystery dual timeline genre is very, very fast growing in the market. So it has commercial viability as well, which obviously is a good thing to have. So once I decided on my genre, I had to come up with an idea. And there's so many different ways of doing this, by the way. Obviously, the way I'm doing it, the way I've done it, I'm just sharing with you how I did it. So you might go about it slightly differently. In fact, I'd love to hear in the chat how you have come up with your genre, how you have come up with your idea. Because, like I say, this is something that really stops people from writing, and it shouldn't. So, how I came up with my idea, I started by feeling inspired by my environment. So, we just moved from the UK to Spain early this year, and I love the sense of the history here in Spain, and it just has a certain, I don't know, it has a certain feel to it in Spain. It evokes something in me. To be honest, I feel like I was Spanish in a past life, so that could be why. And also, I remembered that one of Lucinda Riley's Seven Sisters books is set in like the great flamenco era of Spain. And that book was so, it just stayed with me so much. It haunted me, the colors and the music and the heat and the atmosphere and the history. And I really, really got drawn into the world of it. So I knew also that Spain has obviously a lot of it's a huge country, a lot of fascinating history, specifically around where I am. I'm in Costa Blanca, close to Alicante, 5 hour train ride away from Madrid. So this whole area has, I mean, the whole of Spain has amazing history. So I knew that there'd be a lot of interesting bits of history that I could go back and pick into, and thinking about the flamenco era as well in Spain. So that then thinking about Spain, that's when I decided, right, whatever book I write, I want it to be set here in Spain. So so I knew where I wanted it to be set, and then I knew what themes I had. I wanted to layer on these themes of having strong female voices, secrets from the past, women being silenced, power and control, how the past shapes the present, ghosts coming up that need to be laid to rest. And bit by bit, all of those little pieces came together into my idea of my debut book, which is Murder in Mar de Luna. So that's how I chose my genre, and that's how I came up with the idea for my book. I hope that's helpful. That I don't know if there's an exact science to this. If there is, please let me know. But that's kind of the way that I went about it. And like I say, in the future, I probably will write a fantasy as well. But for now, this genre feels, to be honest, it feels really solid. And because I'm pulling on things from that actually happened in history, I feel like it's giving me structure that I feel like I need to get this book written. So I hope you found that really helpful. Let me know in the chat how you've chosen your genre, how you've come up with your book ideas. Let's share. In the next video, I'm going to be talking about plotters and pantsters, and also how I very first started to plan my book. I'll walk you through the exact steps that I took to plan Murder in Mar de Luna. So if you're writing your first book or even dreaming about it, make sure to subscribe to my channel, follow along. Let's figure this all out together, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.